Hello, and thank you for joining today's webcast entitled Getting More Out of Office 365. My name is David Husonica, and myself and Michael Ganote will be taking you through this conversation today. We certainly appreciate you making the time to listen in and hope you will find this a valuable addition to your knowledge of Office 365. Just wanted to point out that while we're going to focus a lot of our attention on how do you get more value out of Office 365, which is directed towards people who are currently using Office 365. We will spend just a couple of minutes up front here giving a little bit of a backdrop to what Office 365 actually is, because we typically will have people join in that may be considering Office 365. So bear with us as we get through some of the basics, and then we'll dive into topics of how to get more value out of the platform that you've invested in. As we look at what really is in Microsoft's Office 365, it's made up of a couple of pieces. You can think of Office 365 really being as a brand, and that brand is made up of a couple different products. So as denoted by the name, you'd expect Office is one of the products that's included in the bundle or the brand. And this is a subscription to the Office desktop applications, so Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You can now subscribe to it instead of having to go down to the store and purchase it and then repurchase it years later whenever you needed to upgrade. You just merely subscribe to it now, download it to your desktop, and the good news is you have a lot of flexibility as to the number of machines that you can install Office on. You can have actually up to 5 PCs or Macs, plus 5 tablets, plus 5 mobile devices. So you can literally have Office desktop applications running on any device that you happen to touch, whether it be PC, laptop, tablet, or mobile device. Another benefit is that the Office products will always be kept up to date. So any enhancements that are made to Excel, Word, PowerPoint, you just automatically get. You don't have to go upgrade your environment or purchase an upgrade downstream. It just automatically is made available to you. And through the cloud model, Microsoft is truly in this continual enhancement mode. So there's new features that are pushed out all the time for many of the pieces that we're going to talk about here, but including the Office products. So that's the first piece. The second piece of the Office 365 bundle is a product called Exchange Online, and many people have probably, if you're running Office 365 today, you've probably originally purchased it thinking about you wanting to move to a better email environment, cloud-based email environment. So Exchange Online is the cloud version of Microsoft Exchange, which has been the standard for your business class email for many years. Now it's available through a subscription model. You don't have to have your own Exchange servers anymore. You just subscribe to it, and you can connect your Outlook desktop or whatever mail client you're currently using and point to it, and away you go. And gets you out of the server business of having to have your own email servers. Some of the value propositions associated with Exchange Online, you get a pretty significant amount of storage. So you get 50 gigabyte per user of storage, which is usually an improvement over what people get today. Also, you've got the anti-spam and anti-malware is already baked into the environment, and very easy to connect all your mobile devices. So no matter where you happen to want to be able to access email from, you can connect it up, and you can also toggle your policies based on mobile devices and do things like remote wipes and so forth as people may leave the business. So Exchange Online certainly is an important part of the overall Office 365 brand. And again, when you look at why people have initially moved to Office 365, many times the email is what people are originally there for. There's a couple other pieces of the puzzle that I wanted to just make sure you're aware is there. And so first of all, the next piece is called Lync Online. And Lync Online is, the best way to think of it is kind of your central collaboration hub where you can, quickly communicate with employees as well as customers and other folks, anywhere from doing a quick instant messenger or chat session to you can do PC to PC voice. You can do video conferencing. It's got features such as presence baked into it, so what that means is that I can see actually who is available, who's online, and if I have a quick question, rather than sending an email and hoping that the person at the other end is there to respond, I can actually get an answer immediately. Very powerful collaboration environment, and beyond that, just doing your web meetings moving forward. A lot of companies are using other services such as maybe GoToMeeting or things like that, and you can do all of that now within a single platform called Lync Online. So you can also host your meetings and invite third parties and to join those meetings. They don't have to be running Lync to join in and participate. So it becomes a very potent collaboration hub. And I'd say personally, outside of email, I'm probably using Lync more than any other application on my desktop. So Lync Online is another important piece of the Office 365 bundle or brand. The next piece is SharePoint Online. SharePoint has been within enterprises, again, kind of the standard for document storage. Now it's available in the cloud. You don't have to have your own SharePoint servers anymore. Again, you just subscribe to it underneath the Office 365 plans, and you can begin to use that as a centralized repository for all your business as well as personal documents. So you can create environments or places for your teams to be able to collaborate on project-related content, as an example, and also make it available to people outside of your business. So you can, if you're working on a project, you can also have the contractor, subs, even the customer engaged in working with you on the content. So SharePoint, again, another big piece of the overall Office 365 platform. Within that, you also get something called OneDrive for Business, and we'll talk more about the differences between it. But it's a place where you can store your personal documents, and you get a terabyte of storage for your personal OneDrive area, and that's terabyte is actually moving up to unlimited. So you've got a place for your personal documents as well as team-oriented documents. So SharePoint Online, and we'll talk more about that and show you more about that in a minute. Another couple of things just to make note of is you can also, for people who are dealing and wanting to use Microsoft Project, you can now subscribe to Microsoft Project as a part of Office 365. As well as people who have a large sales organization, do a lot of marketing. You can also subscribe to Microsoft's Dynamics CRM underneath Office 365. So those are the different pieces of it. You know, a lot of times when people hear Office 365, they think about Office and think that's the extent of it, but it obviously delivers a lot more than just the Office products. So that's the brief overview for those of you who are not already running Office 365 or maybe running just a piece of it, to make sure you understand some of the other components. And now let's get into talking about adoption and how to get more value out of the platform if you're currently using it. So when you look at adoption, put together this kind of like stoplight slide, which talks about adoption level within the different components that we just mentioned. So green means very high adoption, and yellow means mediocre, and then red means has some adoption challenges. And so if you look at the primary components here being Office and Exchange, you can see that those are green, which means that if you looked at the people that are using Office 365 out there in total, that means that there's a very high percentage of them that are already leveraging the Office as well as the email or Exchange component of Office 365. Just by the way, there's somewhere north of 50 million seats of Office 365 that are in use out there in businesses and also in education and nonprofits. So it's a huge huge number of deployments, and when you look at what people are using and what they're not using, this grid is meant to kind of highlight some of those things, and what we're going to spend the next few minutes after this going through is talking about how do you get more value out of each of these pieces so that your overall Office 365 investment is going further. And so we will spend some time looking at some other features even within the Office products that you may or may not know are there that could help you get more value out of it. We'll take certainly a look at some of the additional features within the email or Exchange Online, and some of the things we talk about today might be aha moments where people say, wow, we could really get some use out of that. We are definitely going to talk about Lync because Lync is underutilized in the fact that not as many people are actively deployed and using it as some of the other pieces. No reason that they shouldn't be. It's just a little bit more of an unknown, and so we'll try to bring some clarity to that, as well as show you some add-in solutions that you can take and add to your Lync environment to make it even more valuable. And then SharePoint. We're definitely going to talk about SharePoint and talk about how we can help companies unlock the value of SharePoint. When you think about all the things that SharePoint can do for businesses, it really is a pretty incredible environment beyond just being a storage repository for documents online. There's lots of other things that you can build into it, and the challenge that we see out there is that in order to do SharePoint correctly, you need a little SharePoint skill, and not all companies have SharePoint skill on staff. So we have a strategy which we're going to show you here, which is going to basically help you unlock the value of SharePoint without having to have deep SharePoint skills on staff. So those are the areas that we're going to attack and talk more detail about. So let's get started. So let's talk first about just the pure Office environment, which is the Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So some tips about how to get more value out of that piece of the puzzle. Well, the first tip is install it. And install it on all of your devices. So Office, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all of those things are now available to where you can install it under Office 365 subscriptions, not only on your Windows devices, but also on your Mac devices, your iPad, iPhone, as well as Android. So in all of the stores, if you were to go out and look in the iTunes, you'll see that there's downloads for Word, PowerPoint, Excel now. Same for the Android environment, certainly for Mac and Windows. So the first tip is make sure you're installing it and using it, because you have now the ability, no matter what device you happen to pick up, whether it's a phone, and it doesn't have to be a Windows phone, it can be a Apple phone or an Android phone or a tablet or another device, you can take advantage and work on Office documents, Word, PowerPoint, Excel from any of those devices. So that's tip number one for getting more use out of it, is get it installed everywhere that you're using. The other thing, the next slide talks about using Office 2013. People have been different versions of Office in their environments many times, or they may be all the way back on 2007 and certainly 2010. And we find that even some of our clients who have a subscription to the 2013 version of Office may not have actually deployed it. And there's lots of good reasons to deploy it. There's some great new features in all of the applications, whether you're looking at Word or Excel or PowerPoint, that 2013 can bring to the table. Some great new features. You also you can certainly work with documents that have been saved in previous formats. You can also save directly back formats if you need to. So there should be no concern about being compatible with anybody, either within the business or outside the business. You also, through your subscription, you also have availability to Office web apps, which means that you can go to any machine that you can get to the web, and you could open up one of your documents that's saved in SharePoint or OneDrive and click on it, and it will open up that document. Even if that machine does not have Office installed on it, it will open up the documents in the browser version or the web apps for Excel, Word, PowerPoint. And it's not just a view only, you can actually edit it. So you could be at a hotel and go to one of the business center computers in a hotel, go log into your Office 365 environment, pull up an Excel sheet, click on it, do work on it, and even though you don't have maybe Excel loaded on that machine. There's also many new features that have been added to all these applications. So the 2013 version of Office will include those, as well as things that come later. The fact that you will automatically receive updates to the latest and greatest of new features that maybe get added to the ribbon bar, or will all of a sudden just arrive in your versions of Office. So lots of good reasons to use it, and really no reason not to use it. If you look at a couple other ways of getting more value out of your Office products, there's some really neat features. One of them called co-authoring, which a lot of our customers get tremendous value out of. So the old world, if you had 5 people that needed to go work on a contract or a document or a proposal, you got into this mode of where, okay, I'm going to do my work, and then I'm going to email the document to somebody else. They're going to do their work, and then the next person's going to get it. And so that sequential method of doing work on documents is really a thing of the past. What co-authoring allows you to do is you could have multiple people open up and be working on a single document at the same time. And I can be in here working on section 1.1. One of my colleagues can be in the exact same documents working on section 1.2. When I hit save, my changes will automatically show up. Whenever they refresh, I can see that there's other people in the document working, and I could even start a quick chat session with them if I wanted to. So you could have, I'm sure there's a limit somewhere, but no practical limit that I'm aware of, people that are simultaneously in a single document working on it. And the other thing that does is it gets you out of the scare of the versioning. Am I working on the most current version of this document, or am I working on something that somehow I missed a version that somebody else has on their local machine? So the only requirement for this co-authoring is that the documents that you're working on are actually stored either in OneDrive or SharePoint, and if they are, then this feature is available, and you can open them up, and everybody can be banging away on it at the same time. Another concept of getting more out of Office 2013 is the fact that there is versioning that you can now turn on. So again, if the document is stored in the either in OneDrive or within SharePoint, you can turn on a feature which says I want to maintain version control, and what it does is actually keeps a separate copy of your document. And you can always go back to a previous version. So the current version in this case is 3. There's another major version. You can control when a new major version gets saved. I can go back and I can look at the previous version. I can also do things like a version compare, where I can see what the differences are between versions. So all of these things are available now to you, and can really, if you ever get a situation where you really need to go back to a previous version of a document, that can be done. So that's version control, which is again a feature of Office 2013 and also running on SharePoint OneDrive environment. So that was the section talking about getting more out of Office 2013. Now we're going to look at Exchange, which is the email component of Office 365, and some ways of getting more value out of Exchange Online. First thing is make sure that you've got all your devices that are pointed to it, meaning that you're able to connect in and get email on no matter what device you happen to pick up, whether it's your desktop, your tablet, your phone. All of those things can point back to your Exchange Online environment. It synchronizes automatically between all your devices, which depending on what old mail client or old mail service you may have used in the past, you may have had to send yourself emails sometimes just so that you have a copy of what was sent. In this case, if I were to be on my laptop and I were to send an email here from the laptop, I could immediately go to my phone and see that in my sent mailbox. So it automatically synchronizes that, as well as, of course, all your inboxes, all your folders, your contacts, your calendars, everything is automatically kept synchronized. So Microsoft is very device independent now, so whether or not you're on a Windows-based device, Apple device, an Android device, you can take full advantage of the Office 365 platform and email. A couple other things, if you're not on Exchange Online yet, maybe you started Office 365 just for the Word, PowerPoint, Excel. We have a real easy way of getting you migrated, so we can take wherever you are today. Maybe you're on the Google, or maybe you're on an old POP3, or maybe you've got an old Exchange environment that either you're running internally or maybe it's hosted somewhere. We have a migration method that automates the process of taking you from any of these environments and moving your email environment to Exchange Online, and making sure we get everything, not just the email, but all the calendars, all the contacts, all the public folders, shared mailboxes, if those are in play. So we have a real smart way of doing that, using some automation that is designed to migrate Exchange environments, and it's a pretty slick way of doing it. It's all kind of handled behind the scenes. So we go through and we have a planning exercise with you, which is where we take a look at and do a scan of your existing mail environment and kind of select which of the mailboxes and public folders and so forth you actually want to migrate, because you may not want to migrate everything that's out there. And then once we click go, then it goes through a process where it begins to synchronize, basically taking the existing mail items and all the things in your existing mailboxes, wherever they may be located, and copying them up to Exchange Online in the cloud. That usually happens over a period of time, and matter of fact, you can log into the new Exchange Online environment and see your historical stuff showing up there, and then decide when you actually want to cut over, which all that means now is any new mail, you want it to start going to Exchange Online, the new environment, and quit going to your old email service, whichever it may be. And the tool that we use automates that cutover process, where it will automatically go out there and make the necessary DNS record changes. It will actually even reconfigure the user's desktop, so it will, if they're using, for instance, Outlook, it will go in and reconfigure Outlook so it points to the new mail environment, and it really takes a lot of the burden off of IT as far as doing this overall migration. And so companies who are using our process are able to migrate to a new mail environment with virtually no downtime of email for the business, which is obviously a pretty critical element. So if you're not running email today, let us know. We can certainly help you get there and get you there in a pretty slick fashion. Some other features within Exchange Online that you may want to consider taking advantage of, beyond just the basic email and the ability to do folders and all that. There's a lot of very sophisticated features around the area of compliance and litigation holds and in-place holds, and these are all features that are just baked into the Exchange Online environment. So an example is in-place holds. If you happen to be in a situation where you need to hold a particular user or user's mail to ensure that nothing gets deleted or accidentally or on purpose, for litigation reasons or any reason, You can simply do that within the Exchange Online environment. You can go into the admin section of Exchange Online. I can go in and specify specific dates about when I want things held from, as far as date ranges. If I want to specify specific people, or I can just say I want everything to be held for a given user. And so it's very easy to go configure and set up and take advantage of that feature. You do have to have a certain level of subscription to Exchange Online for this feature to be available. A lot of these extended features that we're going to talk about go along with what's called the E3 plan, which includes in it all the discovery and compliance capabilities that we're talking about here. So something to consider if you happen to be on a different Office 365 plan and you want to start taking advantage of these. It's simply a matter of just doing a quick upgrade to the plan that you're on, and all of a sudden these features are now available to you. And there's a lot of details that go along with these, and I've included the link here, which will take you into some discussion documents that tell you all about in-place holds and litigation holds and how you can use those and set those up. Neat feature. The next one is something called data loss protection or prevention, or DLP. And so what this feature of Exchange Online is meant to do is to help you from accidentally or somebody on purpose sending out information via email that's confidential. So an example would be a credit card number that they're sending out in their email. If you have DLP turned on, it will notice that there is some confidential information. In this case, it's a credit card number that it will detect, and it can either flag somebody with a notice saying, hey, we think you've got some confidential information, please check it, or it can just stop that email from being sent because of the fact that it's detected confidential information. So there's a number of parameters that could be set around this, but things like account numbers, identification numbers, credit card numbers, social security numbers, those are all things that you can stop people from being able to send via email and expose potentially to others who should not have access to it. And once again, here's a URL which gets you into a lot more detail about DLP and what it can do and how to turn it on. Again, this feature is a part of the higher level Exchange Online plans associated with things like the plan E3. Exchange Online archiving. So this feature is something that you may or may not know is there within Exchange Online. It is a way that you can set criteria and say, after a certain period of time, I want email to be moved from my active mailboxes, my active inboxes, all that. I want to move it to an archive folder after a period of time. Maybe it's after a year or 2 years, and so it automatically will move it, clean it out of your active mailbox, but you still have it and still have access to it. So if you ever do need to go back to it, you can. And so again, it's just a feature with an Exchange Admin Center that I can turn on under mailbox features, and I can say I want to enable archiving for a particular user. And the way that looks from a user standpoint, if you're over here looking at I'm in Outlook, and what it's done is basically it's just created a new entry in my Outlook sidebar, which is my archive folder. And then within it are all my different folders, and I can click on it and I can get to any of my email that's in my archive folder. And there's unlimited storage that comes with this, so you can keep as much out there as far as archive, and you can easily get back to an older email if you needed. So kind of a neat feature. Again, getting more value out of Exchange Online. There's some other encryption and protection features. We're not going to have a chance today to go through all of these. The best thing would be there is a site that's dedicated to all of these areas, as well as just Microsoft's overall strategy around privacy and data protection, and it's the Office 365 Trust Center. But a couple other things that you might find interesting: information rights management, which is being able to control who can actually open and view information that's being sent via email. Message encryption, so that you can send an encrypted email message to somebody, whether it's an internal person or a third party, and they would have to validate themselves in order to be able to read it. So it's a way that you can protect content through an encrypted method. And then data is also encrypted at rest in the Microsoft data centers, and they use BitLocker data encryption whenever things are actually stored and sitting on their hard drives. So again, very robust data security and privacy and protection associated with the Office 365 environment to ensure your data is protected. So that was talking about Exchange Online and getting more value out of it. So the next application is Lync Online. And as I mentioned earlier, if you look outside of email, I'm probably using Lync more than any other application on my desktop or my phone or my tablet as a way of collaborating with our project teams and also our clients. And if you're not familiar with what Lync can do for you, it comes with most of the plans. So again, the first suggestion is install it. Make sure it's installed not just on your desktop, but it's installed on all your devices, because if you're running an Apple phone, there's an app out there in the iTunes marketplace where you can download the app for Lync. If you're on Android, same thing, as well as obviously Windows and Mac. So install it and get yourself familiar with how to use Lync in all those different formats, and that will go a long way in helping get more value and also more use out of the application, is that you've got it anywhere you may reach. And if you're not that familiar with all the things that Lync can do, we'll take you through just a quick scenario. So it's completely integrated with Outlook, meaning that I can go create a meeting and say I want it to be a Lync meeting, which will allow you to do things like screen share and voice and all that directly from Outlook, and a number of other things. But let's take a quick look at here over on the right hand side. This is the Lync client that gets installed to a Windows desktop. And in that client, I can do a number of things, but one thing is I can pin people to what's called my favorites area. So these are people that I do a lot of collaboration work with, and I want to be able to quickly find them and quickly start some form of collaboration. I can also just do a general search for anybody within my business, as well as I can use this with my customers. So if my customer happens to be running Lync, and they've opened it up to where they allow other federated systems to be able to reach out and do Lync type of collaboration sessions with them. You can do that, and don't be misguided there, because as far as if you had a meeting and you wanted to have a meeting and have people join a meeting, anybody could do that, whether they're running Lync or not. And basically they just join your meeting through a browser, and there's a little plug-in that gets installed into their browser. This is more if you want to use the full feature of Lync for even things like instant messaging back and forth and video conferencing and all that. But a little bit more how it works. First thing you'll notice is that there's color indicators as to my presence status. So here I've got Julian. And Julian is a green, which means that Julian is available and has interacted with one of his devices fairly recently, which means that he's not too far away from his desktop or his phone or something like that I could reach out and get him if I needed to. You can see Karen up here is a red, and that's because Karen is actually in a meeting. And this is part of the integration with Outlook. Lync will actually look at, in this case, Karen's meeting in her Outlook and know that she's got a meeting scheduled for this time and turn her to red, letting people know that she does have a meeting. And then it can even put her on Do Not Disturb, meaning that even if you're in a meeting, you may want to chat with somebody, so they could still potentially ping you. But if you're up front presenting to somebody, that's a different story. You don't want anybody interrupting, so the do not disturb, it recognizes that an external device has been plugged in, like a projector, things like that, and will put you in a do not disturb mode. And then, of course, you can override what your mode is if you need to. So that presence indicator is pretty valuable. Traditionally, if you needed an answer for somebody, you'd pick up the phone and call them, or you send them an email, and they may or may not be right there to be able to answer you right away. And Lync really breaks down those barriers because you can see who's there and you can get a quick answer if you need it. And so let's take that scenario. Let's say I wanted to communicate with Julian. I double click on Julian, and what it does is it opens up a new window where now I'm having a chat session with Julian, and we can basically start conversing back and forth using the chat area here, where I can just type in information, and Julian and I can go back and forth and have a quick chat session. This is really valuable if let's say you're on a conference call with a client, and maybe some of your team is on the call as well, where you and your team can still have a sidebar conversation, which is kept separate from the conference call, so you can help each other out, or you can say, hey Julian, why don't you take that question, or here's how you might want to position the response to that. So the fact that you can do these chats, you can do them one-on-one, or you can include groups. Let's say in this case we wanted to actually have a voice conversation, right from this window I can click on this phone icon, and it will do a PC to PC voice session. So we can talk to each other over either our laptops, microphone, and speakers, or if the other person's on their phone, and you can have a Lync voice session through the mobile devices as well. If it made sense to where we actually needed to do a video share, I could turn it into a video meeting. We have clients that have field force that's out there doing maintenance, repair work, and you can use this environment where a field tech could actually turn on the video, and even from their mobile device, and shine the camera on whatever it is they're looking at, and whoever's in the back office can see it, and they can have a conversation about it. So that's an example of where, outside of just seeing people's faces whenever you're having a meeting, how the video could come into play. You could also do a screen share, which is I want to share something that's running on my machine. Maybe it's an Excel sheet that I want to work with Karen on interactively, or if it's maybe it's a presentation, if it's a marketing event where you want to share a PowerPoint slide and everybody be able to see it, so you can do screen shares. And then also you can open it up and add more people very easily. So let's say Julian and Karen are in the middle of this conversation, and they realize, really we need to have David join us. They can click on this add more people and invite David to join the middle of this meeting, and David will receive a notice on his end, and hopefully is available to join. So moving it from a instant messenger chat to PC voice to video to screen share, those are all features that Lync can bring to the table. So for the people who are using other third-party web conferencing tools, this could be your single product that you use, and get rid of the costs associated with using some of those other tools. This is just an example of the screen share. Here we've got, again, our Lync meeting going on. In this case, we're both looking at a particular slide, and again, if it's something that we want to be able to edit simultaneously, that can be done. And then the video, where you can even have multi-video channels showing, where you can see multiple people at the same time and see their face. And here again, we're using OneNote, and we're all working together on some project kickoff and taking notes along the way, and everybody's able to see that. So again, a very strong collaboration environment, and there's ways that you can extend, even if you're using Lync today internally. The ability for other people to join into a meeting if they happen to not be on a device that that has good speaker and microphone, this is something that we have provided, is the ability to actually, where you can also include a phone number, so that if you create a meeting, in this case this is an Outlook meeting that was created, those are the people that are maybe at their desktop can click on the join Lync meeting and get the audio through their PC or laptop speaker and microphone. If you happen to be in the car, you could just dial a phone number, and it unifies the audio, so the people who are on their PCs and the people who are on the phone all hear the same thing, and it allows you to open up, who can easily join a Lync meeting, to anybody. As long as they can get to a phone, they can dial a phone number and listen into the audio. So this uses the intercall audio dial-in conferencing feature, and we are a provider of that, and each person has their own unique conference line that they can use for their Lync environment. And good news is there's no cost to actually provision these numbers, and so everybody can have their own dial-in conferencing number. The only charge is a low per minute usage for people that are actually dialing the phone. So if you're coming in through voice over IP, using the normal Lync audio over the PC, there's no charge for those minutes. It's only people that truly need to pick up the phone and dial it and join the meeting that way. Their meetings are charged at a low per minute rate. So a way of really opening up the use of Lync further within the business, and then also outside of the business. The last thing on Lync is kind of taking it the final 10 yards, where we have some clients who want to have Lync kind of be their overall enterprise voice solution, meaning that they don't want to use it just for meetings and just for chat and all that. They actually want to be able to dial outbound phone numbers to any desktop or mobile device, or have a phone number that somebody can call and it will ring directly into their Lync client. And that's something called Lync Enterprise Voice. And it is a feature that we do offer, that we can enable companies for. It's on a subscription basis, and allows you to turn your Lync hub into a full communications portal, including direct dial in as well as direct dial out. You can port existing phone numbers so that whenever people call them in the future, they're ringing into your Lync environment, and take it again that final step. So that's called Lync Enterprise Voice. So another way that you can get more value out of the Lync environment. Okay, so kind of continuing to press forward here, let's talk next about OneDrive for Business. A very popular component of Office 365 is the ability to store your files in the cloud, either via OneDrive or SharePoint, and we'll talk about both of them here. But let's first start with OneDrive. And so each user that is subscribed to Office 365 has their own OneDrive area. And OneDrive, you can think of it as your own personal storage area in the cloud, where you can have all of your files and content stored up there, which means that you can then get to them from any browser if you need to, as well as you can synchronize what's stored there down to your local device, and so that you can carry documents around locally if you happen to be on a plane and you need to work on them. You can work on them locally, and then next time you're connected, it will automatically synchronize back up into the cloud, into your OneDrive area. Also, the ability to share things. If I had a certain document or a folder that I wanted to share out to somebody, it would send them an email with a hot link where they click on it, and it will automatically open up that area that I've shared with them. And then, of course, I can reverse that share later on. So OneDrive is a very popular feature. It is each user gets a terabyte of storage, which actually is moving to unlimited storage in the future. So you think about that. Pretty amazing that you can have unlimited storage for your personal documents under OneDrive in the future. We get a lot of questions about a couple different pieces of this. Because when you look at file storage in the cloud, there's really kind of two main solutions that are in play here. One of them is OneDrive, and the other one is called SharePoint, and we'll talk more about SharePoint in a minute. But we commonly get the question from clients saying, what is the difference? Why would I use one versus the other? And the fundamental answer to that is, if it's a document that is fully intended to be shared with others, with the project team, with other team members, with other constituents, then SharePoint is probably the best place for you to configure for that document. So you store that document in a SharePoint site, and then you can that team you can grant permissions at group levels, and they can access it. If the document is really meant to be more my own document, or maybe I'm not quite ready to go and share it with the rest of the team yet, then chances are I may want to store that in my OneDrive area, and then I can of course always copy from the OneDrive over to a SharePoint area once something's ready. But SharePoint is really meant for, fundamentally when content is meant to be shared with teams, you would use SharePoint. And if fundamentally this is the document may be shared with somebody, but right now it's more of I just want to keep it in my own area, then I'm not planning to share it, so I would probably store that in my OneDrive area. So that's a little bit of the differences how clients use those two document storage features that are part of Office 365 plans. If you decide to synchronize documents down locally, this is a quick view of how that looks. Here I am in my Windows Explorer, and I've decided that I want to synchronize my OneDrive documents, and you can see it's added underneath my favorites. Here it's added a new area for OneDrive. If I click on that, it's going to show me all the folders and subfolders and documents that are in my OneDrive area that have been synchronized down locally. You can see there's a little green check mark that shows you that something has been successfully synchronized. I can go in, I can open up a document, I can edit it. Here in this mode, when I click Save, it will, if I have an internet connection, it will resynchronize that back up to the cloud area. So in the situation where I am disconnected for some reason from the internet, I can work on things offline and then sync them back up later on. Likewise, if I'm storing things in SharePoint, I can selectively say I want to synchronize my SharePoint libraries, and it would show up also over here, which I could click on it, and if I had, let's say, multiple projects that I was synchronizing the documents for, it would show me each project and then the documents associated with each individual project. And once again, I can work on them, double click on them here, work on them directly in this mode. If I happen to be connected to the internet, it will keep it synchronized. If I'm not, the next time I am connected, it will synchronize it back to the SharePoint site. So that's a little bit about how the synchronization actually looks within your Windows Explorer desktop. So, which kind of brings us to the next topic of SharePoint and learning a little bit more about SharePoint Online and how do you get more value out of SharePoint Online. And if you look at SharePoint kind of out of the box, SharePoint has some very fundamental, I guess you could call them templates as far as layouts, that if you want to provision a site for a team to go work on, you could use what's called their team site template, and that has a document library and news feed, and you could add other features or web parts to this, but really it's a pretty basic look and feel, layout, structure. You can enhance it, you can add to it, but this is where you really need to get into probably having a bit of SharePoint skills on the staff in order to do it effectively, and not just adding new things to a page, but also stringing together multiple team sites into some overall user interface or user navigation, which makes it easy for people to find content, which can be a challenge for many SharePoint users. SharePoint can do a lot of things, but some of the challenges are navigating to find content and being able to do things right. But if you are using just base SharePoint, it certainly can and do a lot of things for you. You can also add things like workflows, and you can add alerts, and you can share documents both internally and also with third parties if you want from base SharePoint. But again, some of the challenges that we run into is that for a company to go set up a SharePoint environment and have it be usable, have it be organized, have overall governance, it does require some SharePoint skills. So what we did is we created a template that was designed, it sits on top of SharePoint Online, and the template is called ServicePoint 365. And what we deliver through this template is, first of all, we've got an overall menu and navigation system already baked into it, so you can easily find your projects and your project workspaces and navigate to them and find them and work on them. Plus, it's very easy to create the next one. So if I have a new project that's being started, the ability to go create a new workspace dedicated to that, or if it's a new client, a new workspace dedicated to that client. And doing that in a very consistent manner, so that we're using an overall approach and governance model so that it's consistent, which gives comfort to end users, and then making sure that the tools are in the hands of the people who need it versus IT having to jump in every time there's a new team site or a new sub-site that needs to be created to be an IT function versus a power user or end user function. So these are some of the key tenets that went into the ServicePoint 365 design and how it looks. First of all, we tried to anticipate many of the content areas that our clients wouldn't necessarily want to store. And what I mean is that if you're a business, chances are you got customers and clients. So we already have pre-configured in the ServicePoint 365 template an area. Here's where all your clients would go, and also if you want to have a dedicated workspace or a site dedicated to each client with their documents, and maybe it's mutual non-disclosure agreements or kind of client level documents. Very easy. We already got a place dedicated for that. So we've got client level information. We've got an area provisioned already for here's where all your projects would go. And here's where you would create your projects, and here's where all the workspaces for your projects and all the documents and deliverables for each projects would already be pre-configured in this environment. If you're winning projects, chances are you're bidding them, so we have a place for bids, proposals, opportunities, separate area that people can work on that content, and we have the ability to actually turn an opportunity into a project if you win it and carry over some of the information there. If you're doing project related work, you have project roles. We have a best way to think of it is kind of a high level staffing portal that you can put in requests for a role. Maybe somebody needs a project manager on a particular engagement, or an engineer or an analyst. They can go in and put that request in and say, here's the project, and here's the duration, and here's the target bill rate, and all that stuff. And then whoever's responsible for filling resource requests, they can go take a look at their resources and make that match and see what's the best resource to go fill that role. A lot of times companies are dealing with partners, so whether it be contractors or subcontractors or vendors, so the ability to provision a workspace dedicated to that partner where you can put things out there that they can easily get to. They can also upload things for you. And so you kind of sequester off a specific area for that particular partner and sharing information with them. And then a couple other things, general knowledge repository for of knowledge. This could be best practices or training or other things that you just want people to be able to within the business to be able to get access to easily and know where it is. And then if you represent or use different solutions, here's where you can keep information about those solutions, whether it be the user guides or the training guides or all that related to different products or solutions that you're routinely using. And then, of course, be able to get to all this stuff no matter what device you happen to be on. So that's a bit about how or the content areas that ServicePoint 365 comes out of the box, already organized around. And then how that looks is this is the main menu or the main user interface. It's a very Windows 8 style look and feel. We've got these tiles, these colorful tiles. And you'll see each of these tiles represent one of those content areas that we just discussed. So for instance, Project Center. This is where we would find all of our projects, as well as we would have potentially dedicated workspace for each of those projects that had a place for the documents and deliverables and calendars and contacts and all that stuff related to that project would be stored. Client Center is where we would find, here's all of our clients or potential clients, as well as the ability to have a separate workspace for each client or potential client and documents that are related to them. Sales Center is where we would have our bids, proposals, estimates. Partner Center is where we would find workspaces for each of our partners. And Knowledge Center would be where we have the general knowledge repository. So if you look at this, you can see that we use this quote-unquote center philosophy that associates with each of those major content areas, which makes it very easy for end users to go navigate and find what it is that they want to work on. So if I'm wanting to go work on project stuff, I'm going to go to Project Center and I'm going to go find my project and start either upload, download, or edit online the information related to that particular project. So let's take a little bit closer look. So here I am in the environment. If I went in and I wanted to go find and work on a project, all I would do is I'd click on Project Center, and it would then show me, I'm now within Project Center, it would show me what projects we have out here in the environment. In this case, we've got two different projects. Both of them are for the same client. Space Coast Construction is the name of the client. And so this one, the project is GCA Building. And then we can also display some fundamental information about the project. And these are just examples of the type of data, like project lead and start date, or what service line that project falls into within our business. You can go and expose other fields or other columns of information if they're more valuable than these. This is just an example. And it's very easy to configure these views so that whenever your team goes in, they're seeing immediately the most important information about your projects at a high level, as well as if they're out there in this view, you can then just click on a title here, and you can sort, sequence any of these lists based on that, or I can filter. So if I only wanted to see construction type projects, it could filter anything that's in this list to just show me ones that are construction type projects. If I want to go work on the content related to this project, you can see there's a hot link here, which is the link to Workspace. So all I do is I click on this, and it takes me into the workspace for this particular project, which is GCA Building. And so this workspace has quite a bit of information on it, and I'll just quickly step through what our template contains from a project workspace standpoint. And each workspace, whether it's a project workspace or a client workspace or a sales center workspace, each of them might have slightly different templates as far as what type of information we have in our template, but a lot of consistency on how you create them, how you navigate to them, and a lot of consistency from even what's on it. But again, kind of getting back to a project workspace, so we've got the name of the project, we've got a description of the project. Here's where all the documents and deliverables for the project would go, and you can, of course, you can use folders and subfolders if you can't get away from that. But you can also tag things with metadata, and it makes it sometimes easier to surface information if you don't have to go navigate down to individual folders. You can just sort by the metadata tags or group and filter on that as well. But anyway, this is where the project documents would go, and I can certainly synchronize that document library down locally if I need to, and so I can carry it around with me if I want. If I scroll down on this workspace, here's some other metadata that we're storing related to a particular project. Things like what service line, when it was won, what type of billing, is it billable or non-billable, and other things. And again, you can add more fields and metadata to this if we didn't already have a field for your purposes. Here are our contacts related to this project. Here are the client's contacts. If we've used the staffing center to go out there and request roles, I would see those roles. In this case, an engineer and a site super a request was put in the staffing portal for those, so you can see those. If I scroll down further on this one project workspace, here's my project calendar, which is great for major milestones, things like maybe it's project shutdown dates, maybe it's steering committee meetings, maybe it's status meetings, go live, whatever it is. You can use a project calendar so everybody's clear as to what the major milestones are. You can synchronize it back to your Outlook calendars if you want. Here's a project task list, so you can go and you can actually enter in very detailed task lists and make assignments and create tasks and subtasks and due dates. Or you can synchronize this project task list with Microsoft Project. So if you are using Microsoft Project, you can synchronize this back to that if you desire. And just kind of, again, scrolling down a little bit more, here's a place where you can keep hot links, which would be important for people to be able to quickly branch out to. Could be links to other parts of this system or places out on the internet or the client sites or other systems that you want to create quick links to. And then also a place where you can upload invoices, whether it's partner invoices or client invoices. So the idea here is with this template approach, whenever we create a new project workspace, it automatically provisions the workspace, it lays all these web parts on it, and you're off and running. You're starting to use it to manage your content versus having to do any type of real SharePoint work. The value for our clients is, first of all, it greatly reduces the amount of SharePoint skills that somebody needs in order to get a SharePoint site up and running. It also, we get great marks from end users as far as it increases the usability of SharePoint because it's simple navigation, it's easy to find your content. And then, the overall time and effort to benefit, how long does it take you to get something up and running, is greatly reduced. So the cost, which also equates obviously to cost. So these are all things that you can expect as far as value of how to get more out of SharePoint Online using this template approach. Okay, kind of wrapping up. Here's a couple other solutions before we get to the end of our time allotment here that I want to make you aware of that could help you with getting more value out of your Office 365 environment. One of them is something that probably few people have actually played with yet, but is coming on strong. It's called Yammer, and Yammer is it's under the category of solution called Enterprise Social. So if you're familiar with Facebook and LinkedIn, those are all social sites that are public in nature. What Yammer does is it allows you to do Facebook-like or LinkedIn-like collaboration where you can have discussion threads and share things, but within your business. So this is great for your different teams and your different divisions or departments that are trying to help each other out. People can post questions. They can have collaborative discussions go on. They can upload files and share files that are related to different topics. So Yammer is now a part of most of the Office 365 plans, so you probably already have it, but you may not have it turned on or using it yet. But certainly something to think about as you're looking at ways of enhancing the overall experience for your users in collaborating with this Office 365 environment. Another thing just to be aware of is the ability to do granular backup and restore. So Microsoft has your data in a primary data center, and then it's also mirrored in a backup data center. So if a hurricane were to come and wipe out a data center on the East Coast, they do have the ability to cut you over. So they have that level of redundancy in recovery, but they're not really set up so that if something from an individual user or individual mailbox or individual SharePoint or OneDrive site, if it gets accidentally deleted and it's beyond the recycle bin, meaning that things go to recycle bin, but that's only for a couple weeks, and then it's gone. And so the granular backup and restore solution that we work with allows you to go out and create backup plans, which means I can go out there and say, oh, here's in this case we're looking at an email backup solution. Here are the users or the mailboxes that we want to back up. Where do I want to back it up to? Meaning I can back it up to things like Windows, Azure environment, Amazon storage. You could configure FTP or SFTP location and back it up to there. A schedule for when you want it to backed up, as well as is it a full backup or incremental backup. I can do a full backup maybe once a week, incremental, daily, and some other parameters that you can set. So this one environment or this one tool will allow you to back up your email or your Exchange Online environment. It will also allow you to back up your SharePoint as well as your OneDrive, all through the same UI. And there's nothing to install locally as far as a software product. It's all a cloud or SaaS-based product that you just point it towards your environment, give it the credentials. You go out there and select what you want backed up, where you want it backed up to, and how often, and then it just takes care of it on its own. And then also the ability to restore. So let's say something has gone missing, whether it be something within a user's email box or an individual folder, or it could be something on SharePoint or OneDrive. You can do a granular restore where I can go out, I can find that user if it's an email, for instance, and I can go into that user, and I can actually go into a folder and grab an individual item within a folder and say I want to restore it, and restore it right back where it was. Or you can do what's called an out-of-place restore, meaning you have the ability to restore things to another location if necessary. So highly recommended, not only by us, but also by Microsoft, that clients have their granular backup strategy in place in order to be able to respond to those individual unique scenarios that come up as far as things accidentally gone missing, or maybe somebody did it on purpose, maliciously, so you want to be able to recover from that. Okay, getting to the end of the line here, you may have heard of something called Azure, and it is a part of Microsoft's overall cloud platform, but thought we would spend just a minute to help you understand what Azure may do for you in tandem with Office 365. So if you think about the major workloads, if you had servers running all your stuff today, including email and documents, Office 365 is really where you can offload email and documents from your current on-premises server, put them into Office 365, and then you can get rid of these things, and also get rid of the costs of maintaining them and upgrading them, and basically get out of the server business. Many businesses have other things that are running on their servers as well. Maybe it's your financial application, line of business application, your billing system. So the best Windows Azure provides you the ability to do a lot of things, but one of them in particular is where you can create virtual servers in Windows Azure, and you can move your line of business applications to run on those virtual servers that are in Azure, and other elements within your business as well, so that you could truly get in a mode where your server room today, you've basically decommissioned, if not all of them, then all of the servers that are in there, and moved the workloads either to Office 365 or to Windows Azure, and it gets you out of the server business and the need to maintain them and have people maintain those. So that's a little bit about what Azure can do, as well as some other things such as also being the destination for instance, the granular backup that we talked about. You can point that to Azure for your backup storage and things of that nature. So a little bit about how enhancing your use of Azure can expand your overall value for Office 365. So we've covered a lot. As you can tell, our company, Cloud AG, we We do Office 365 is basically our core offerings, and we do a couple things with it. We help people whenever they're considering it, evaluating what it can do for them, making sure that they select the right plans and get the right licenses, because there's several different options. So we help you with the overall licensing of it. We can also help you migrate, whether it be your moving your email from an existing server to Office 365, moving your documents from a file share or existing location somewhere to SharePoint or OneDrive. We've got all the technical services, development services, the training, helping your users learn how to use Lync as an example, or maybe SharePoint out of the box. And then overall project management. So our company was set up from day one to focus on Microsoft's cloud and focus on Office 365 and Azure. And so we would certainly love to have the opportunity to work with you in helping you either get to Office 365 if you're not currently on it, or get more value out of it by maybe turning on or lighting up features that you're not using today, or adding on some of these add-on solutions that are pretty easy to do and can certainly drive more value from the overall platform. So that's a bit about us and what we do. Our core competencies, you can see everything that we do is kind of centered around Office 365 and Azure. And we are a full-service Microsoft Cloud Champion partner, which means that we've attained the highest levels of certifications from Microsoft, and do business with customers all over the world, not just the Southeast, which are headquarters in Atlanta, but North America, as well as in Europe and also in Asia and the Middle East. So we are able to, since most everything we do is through the cloud, we're able to work with clients remotely. We can also go on site when necessary, but we're able to touch clients no matter where they are geographically. So we appreciate the fact that you spent this hour with us, and invite you to reach out. For more information, here's some contact info. info@cloudag.com, or our main phone number. We would certainly love to have an opportunity to talk about any of the solutions we went through today, or for those of you who are listening to this that are not on Office 365, set you up with a plan of how to get there and begin to take advantage of all the great things that the Microsoft Cloud can bring to your business. So once again, thank you for your time, and we appreciate the opportunity to serve you in the future.